I've prepared this presentation, just a brief one, for those who seek to corporatize their skills, and for those who are prepared to take the risks and responsibilities of being in charge of their money and their power, for the rewards and satisfaction that result. This is not for the faint-hearted and favors those with some form of vision in respect of their skill set. Corporatization is a process of transforming from a circumstance where income earned by a skill that is paid to the skill to a circumstance where income earned by a skill is paid to equity owned by the skill. Let me put this bluntly here. There are no jobs in the future. Ask anybody in education and they will tell you with some trepidation that they're highly concerned that 60% of their students don't have a job to go to and they don't know what to do. Well, the technical event and production sector, not just alone, has provided for the last 20 years an avenue and a way out of this dilemma by saying, look, if I don't make my own job, I don't have a job. So what are jobs based on? They're based on your skills. This is a primary position. It is your skill that drives your well-being. It's your skill that allows you, it doesn't matter what structure or format, to earn the rewards, to earn well, to climb the tree, and to become somebody at the top of the game. Excellence brings rewards. So mediocrity in life is never really rewarded. So the truth of the matter is, and I'm going to put this very bluntly to you, all of you who are looking for a job, catch a wake up. Look at your skills, because there are no jobs in the future, except the job you want to make for yourself. So, what is corporatization? It's one way to create one's own employment, lifetime employment, to start a business, to create value and a pension. You're transforming from a circumstance where income generated by your skill is paid to you towards a circumstance where income earned by your skill is paid to equity, the company you own. Careful about partnerships here. Okay? Skill can't be partnered. A skill is a skill. So partnerships are like marriages. You don't really have many of them, and they are very, very difficult to deal with. For all those who've been down the line and back and forth. Avoiding the pitfalls and obstacles of the IOUs in the form of debts, loan, finance, special purpose vehicles, and the like. Look, you want to go to education today in university, you have to get loans. You come out of university, you're in shit. I mean, seriously. So if your skill has got no future, if your skill is not aligned with the future demand for what is required, you are in deep shit, and you actually are condemned to a life of digital and data slavery. This is the future we are looking at. If you don't want to wake up, you will find out. So what we look at is the separation of one's skill, read the self, from one's business, adopting the right to make the call, to decide on the responsibilities and risks that go with such a call. It's not about the power and the money. It's about whose power and whose money. Job creation and joining the national grid, being a taxpayer, is an outcome. New equity and value is an outcome. Lifetime employment is an outcome. Make your job with your skill and you will have a job for life. Why? Because your skill is conscious and it's awake. It's not sitting. It's dynamic. It's looking for change. We have constant requests for continuing program development, continuing professional development. All those who are parents here, please, don't lie to your children about leaving school. You never leave school. What you learn, where you learn, and how you learn changes, but you never, ever leave school. When is corporatization applied? When one is not an employee of anyone in particular. Hello, our industry. Hello. We work for many, many people. When one is in a legacy industry, one that has intellectual property rights, as an output of one's effort, labor, judgment, and skill, i.e. one's originality. When one has a specialist skill, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a mixing engineer, doesn't matter where you are in the mix, when you have a specialist skill, and most skills are by nature specialized. When one is prepared to be accountable for one's energy and to reap and the reward and risks of the effort, and to do so in an organized way. When one's business is being operated through a personal bank account, what trading has, bank account. Watch out for that shit, man. That dangerous shit. When one's freelance skill is being operated through a personal bank account, when there is no tax efficiency in respecting of trading of one's freelance skill set. Look, if you want to buy a car and you buy it in your own name, you have to earn to pay that car net of tax. Hello? Put the car in your company's name, and the 5,000 to buy the car, to pay the car, is the 5,000 you have to earn. Put it in your name, and you better earn 7 grand to pay the 5 grand. This is simple, straight up shit. So you start a business is based on your skill, and when you need monthly financial reports, you know where you stand. So you've got to get wise up to this. So what do you need? That's why I get to my colleagues here. You need a skill. You need a current deployment of your skill. I'm a production manager. I'm doing 4 nights a week at this club. I'm doing 6 days a week at that place. I need a skill that somebody is using. I need customers. There must be a market demand for my skill. It's no use saying to me, I want to be that. And we've got too many of that. I still want to be that. It's not going to work. If you want to go there. You need someone to assist you through the process. You do need assistance. You need knowledge. Once you know, you don't unknow. Straight up shit. You do need to have input from an auditor and accountant. Leave bookkeepers out, please. You need to understand the money in a whole or a part. You need some money to start the company, a little bit. It's not a lot. It's not as much as you pound a pair of shoes today, but you can get going. You need clarity of purpose in respect of one's skill. You need the skill capacity to carry the purpose through, and you need the will and the discipline to implement your purpose. So, today here I'm very, very privileged, and we all are, to have 4 people that are sitting here, all of them who corporatized. They didn't really know what they were doing. They didn't put a name to it and say, yeah, I'm corporatizing. They didn't really do that shit. Each one of them has built from their skill a business that sustains them, employs people, puts their children to school, and pays a fucking insurance in case something goes wrong. By the way, please excuse the language. In our industry, we are colorful. We work backstage, and we really like to call a spade a spade. We don't like to mess around. And so if it is a bit there, I don't mean to offend any people in that regard. Just anybody got religious issues, I'm sorry. I'm going to start off with you, Jerry. Jerry is a product of SARA. He came out of the Roadies Association. I've known Jerry for more than 20 years. He's not somebody that hasn't walked a hard, long walk.
I think I started with SARA when it was a one office room. It was the office and the table, and we would come in there, have meetings, and obviously talk the future, what we need to do, how we need to represent ourselves, and all those things. I think I've joined the industry by chance. Someone saw me as a sound man at the church and say, hey, there's an association for black people who do this. I was like, what? Seriously? So I went to SARA, and as they say, the rest is history. And I remember Mr. Westerman when we first toured Europe with the Rolling Stones. It was an experience I still today can never match with anything. Namhlanje. Oh, okay.
Business, yeah.
Today. Okay, now I run my own business. It's called Jerry Blue. I specialize in a variety of things. Now I've incorporated AV in terms of video production and all those things. It's a long journey, and I've seen government's commitment everywhere, but delivery is another story.
My name is Romeo Lekoba. I joined South African Roadies Association in 1999 as a roadie by chance as well. I was going upstairs to register to become a TV star at FUBA. And I had 3,500 in my hands, and I paid 20 rand to become a South African Roadies member. And I took the change back home. And I've been everything. I've started as a sound production technician and lighting, you name them. Today I run a business that is turning over above 30 million per annum. I employ about 15 people in 3 offices, Johannesburg, Bloemfontein, and KwaZulu-Natal. And we're doing major events. We being trusted by big budgets, and we produce. And from the skill I got myself into at SARA, today I'm part of the economy of Gauteng, South Africa.
My name is Kagiso Moima Wa Masimini. My journey started at 13 years old. I went to a concert, and there was the legendary late Ndate Lakidube performing. And what happened was, I was actually lost in the stadium, and I was put at the back. I was put at the back as the lost and found. One of that lost and found. As I was brought onto the stage, I saw a parkin with a red gel shining on the long dreadlocks of the late Lucky Dube. And for me, that sparked something. I didn't know what it was. I was 13 years old. And this was in 1993, I think. From there, I actually started researching about the industry and what that was all about, and lighting, what was all about lighting. And I was actually interested in colors. I learned colors from a very young age. Later, I found out that there's a course with Tshwane University of Technology that I can enroll myself in as a lighting and sound engineer. All right, so once you're done with your studies at any university, what normally happens, you go for internships. I went to different companies. After I realized, for me, one of the biggest purposes why I started the company was that there was such a monocultural group that was representing the industry, and I did not understand why there were these huge trucks driving from Pretoria, Johannesburg, and wherever coming to our townships and doing all these big shows. And I realized that there wasn't a black-owned company. Look, the intent might have been wrong when I started, because it was a representation of our people, black people, because there was only two companies then. Then I registered a company in 2005 called Black Motion Production, which is a lighting and audiovisual specialist company.
Yeah, I've been in the industry since around about 93, 94. Yeah, but started DWR distribution in 2006. It was just myself and my wife, basically. We operated out of a garage, out of home, and then we got our first employee. And yeah, today we're, unfortunately, 60 employees. It's hard work. But we do what we do because of the passion. But just to give you an idea, we distribute products to the industry. So our client base would be the theaters, the rental houses, houses of worship, any sort of venue that requires entertainment equipment. And yeah, so I think it's about 12 years now we've been in operation. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
They say that one of business's biggest challenges is managing people. They say there are building full of books written on this issue of managing people. They say we are all different. Now, I'm going to ask them about their people management. I'm also going to talk to them about their money management. I'm going to ask them about how do they deal with their resources. We're going to look at the issue of risk. There's an old rule: never risk what you cannot afford to lose. Old rule. Don't go there. Deep shit there. And then we're going to look at the issue of compliance, the challenges of compliance. We all know in South Africa, to be compliant as a small business, it can cost up to 9% of your turnover. To be compliant as a big business costs less than 0.1% of your turnover. So there is rank discrimination right at the front line in terms of barriers to entry. When you're going to start your business, compliance is a challenge and it's a problem. Right, you all got that. Okay. Ooh, Mr. 60 employees. Ha! Just give me, briefly, and give the audience, please, some idea into the challenges of managing people.
I say, we started in 2006, so you learn lessons along the road. So I think a lot of it is university of life. Those who know DWR, our motto is all about the people. That started as, it's all about the people, the clients, but it is also about the staff.
Dig in a bit deeper about how you dealt with the challenge of actually managing people. Because managing 2 people is a challenge. You got 60.
I think as a company grows, you got to let that go and let other people do that for you. But in the beginning, so when you get to, I was actually chatting to Andy Lenthal about this earlier, but when you get to 5 people, and you are still running the business, you're still running the staff, you're still doing everything, there's a problem. So eventually, as the company grows, things have to change, and you've got to start, deciding what you want to do. Do you want to be a technician all your life? Do you want to run a company? What is it that you do? I think you can found a business or start a business. That's the easy part. Maintaining the business, keeping it running, keeping your staff. There's a lot of aspects to that.
So what you're saying is it's a big challenge.
It's a huge challenge, and it's
Hold
hard
that
work.
Hold that thought. Ha. KG. Kagiso.
No, look, it's a huge challenge for us as well. However, when we do recruit, we make sure that, or rather one of our mandates is to make sure that we hire partners, people who would like to grow with the company, people with a vision for themselves, first of all, because in South Africa, we know our history. And just to give you a bit of a statistics, the youth unemployment, the unemployment rate amongst the youth, irrespective of their education level, is still higher in South Africa. So we are approached by people with, job seekers who have some form of qualifications. And all they need, they dealing with bread and butter issues. And maybe purpose or intent in what they really want to do is really, it's not clarified when they approach a person like myself. So I dig deeper and really try to find out what is it that they want out of their lives. We have 16 employees who have never left the company, for the past 10 years now, and are still with us. However, there are still issues, day-to-day issues that, we know we have gogos that pass away every weekend. Something is happening in our family, there's a wedding, there's this, and, you have a job to do. You need the crew, you need the staff to be on the show on time. And as well, some people, maybe, alcohol is another issue as well that we have to do,
Yes,
because
okay.
we work in the entertainment industry, and
Standards.
you have to have a policy of some sort, but still, they always find a system, a way to just...
Just a quick question there.
Yeah.
When you started your business, did you know that you needed a policy?
No, I didn't. Obviously not.
He didn't. I asked him if he knew if he needed a policy. Any kind. Labor policy, any policy. Labor,
No.
we're talking people here.
Yeah. Look, when you get to 5 staff members and you have to pay the UIF and pay as you earn, you realize, oh, okay, there's a workman's compensation. Now you start getting clever, or not clever, educated along the way. Because, all you have when you start a business, personally, I had the skill. I had the television lighting skill, I had lighting skill, and that's all I knew. I just wanted to monetize that and form something, a legacy. And I need soldiers around me to build that.
Right. So you're going to also let our audience know managing people, challenging, big challenge. How was it for you? A big challenge in managing?
Are you asking
Yeah,
me?
I'm asking you.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
yeah. I was just saying, just to finish up with the audience.
Okay. Yeah, look, it's
Big
a big challenge.
Just think of yourselves and managing yourself, how difficult that is. Before you start thinking about trying to manage other people. Ndate.
Yeah, managing people, it has been a great challenge to me, very much so, because I know I look very young in my business. All the people I employ look very old. Most of them, they don't believe in having a young black person employing them, paying them what they agreed to, and expecting them to come on at work as expected and deliver to clients' expectations, because I cannot be a technician anymore. I'm a business person. I wish to hang around with my Leatherman and my MacLight torch but I cannot. The corporate world does not allow me. You know, as I was here, I had to jump to Sandton for a meeting, come back, you know, and shows must go on. Clients must be happy because they invest their money. Managing people is the biggest challenge that I still go through today. What I do once in a month, I invite motivational speakers to help speak to my people, because it's an everyday challenge. People have got personal matters that I cannot even deal with. So yes, dealing with people, it's a serious challenge, especially technicians and the lifestyle. Yeah.
People who would like to do what you're doing.
Well,
Gentlemen.
in my case, I would say, don't hire your friends. Same as KG, getting drunk, arriving late on site. I mean, this industry is cruel. You mess up once, they don't call you again. So that's how it is, you know. It's a one-chance industry. So in my case, I would say I was a bit lucky because I used to use personnel from bigger companies like a gear house. Obviously, there are people who don't work every day. So once they are off, then I would utilize them and things like those. So it kind of works. At the same time, it's against you, because if they are not available, you have to carry yourself there and do the actual work. So for me, administration, it was killing me, because I had to be somewhere. When I'm there, I'm not doing the other work that is running the actual business itself. So I'm running myself to the ground constantly, because I'm trying to run the show.
Let me ask you a question. That's the four of you. If you are working with people who are like you, okay? Like, I'm not employing you, you're not my employee, but I'm hiring your skills. If you're working with people where you're buying their skills, like corporate, and the person has done what you've done, so they're a lighting designer, but you're not able to hire them and pay PAY, etc. How does that figure? Is it a better situation for you when people are a bit more organized, or?
Well, I would say, I wouldn't say it's a better option or what. It was mostly for convenience, but ideally, it would be nice to have a person within your group, and obviously when you speak to the client, then you can send that person. It's more of a marketing ploy, you know, having a person with the knowledgeable skill and everything. So now, if you don't have that person within yourself, the client tends to be skeptical. Can this person do this and all those things? So in a way, it's not, I wouldn't say it's ideal or the right way to go, having import skills without keeping them within the group.
Okay. I'm picking up on the fact that not everybody likes to work every day, and to carry somebody on a payroll for every day can be 10 minutes. I've got 10 minutes. I'm so sorry, guys. There's a lot for us to cover here. Okay, I wanted to ask you just to say one line, please. It can be a long line, not too long, because I'll jump and stop it. Can you just give our audience an idea of how you've managed compliance?
Compliance is...
I'm going to hold you first. KG, can you tell us about the issue of compliance? And by the way, did you, and this is a yes or no issue, ever have a time where you were called to order, like is it Rankops in the state said, hey, la, my taxi, hey, where was that like?
Well, I dealt with that issue last year. Where I had to pay 7 million to Mr. SARS.
Rules are never mess with SARS. Pay your bills, man. Pay your dues. Go hungry if you have to, because you can lose everything, right?
Yeah, but I think compliance is something that we are very serious about at Black Motion. Yet the SARS issue or SARS matter, I don't know how we got ourselves, into that trap. But it's something that actually I appreciate that it happened because now I understand the importance of compliance, especially if you're going to deal with government. You need to have your tax clearance certificate. So if you owe Mr. Man, it would be very difficult for you to trade with the state.
Right, I'm running on short time, so I'm going to stop you. Duncan, give me a line here about this, please.
I think when the company started, about 3 years into the company, I didn't know enough about compliance, and I actually hired a financial advisor, and he was actually being paid more than I was earning. But it was the best decision I had ever made in the business, and he is still with me today along the journey, and we meet once a month, not only on compliance, but advice, financial advice, but compliance is one of the most important things. If you take a shortcut, 5 years' time, it'll catch you. Never take shortcuts. It'll always come back to bite you.
Thank you, sir. That's a very, very, very good advice.
Compliance, I also adopted what Duncan did. I employed the most smartest people in my office, and I pay them well, and they do magic for me, and the business is still running 15 years later.
A lesson there. Value your people, they'll value you. You want to chop your people? Hey, why should they stand up for you?
On my case, compliance, yes, I'm still struggling even today with SARS. My company got registered twice because I changed the registration number. So now SARS is using that old registration number. I'm trying to get SARS to transfer.
You
The
may
old-
laugh, this is not really
No, it's not funny because this year I haven't done any government job. When you see, when you look at the CSD on my company, it says tax in compliance is not compliant. So I'm not compliant in tax because
In
of
that
that.
company, but other company, it's
but
all right.
everything is on point. It's a
Okay,
tax
okay.
issue. I keep fighting with them and say, "Oh, you want us to comply and return tax, but you don't do your stuff."
Mess with these people.
We don't win anyway.
And the equipment, I still owe the bank. It's been 20 years I've registered my business, and I still have huge bond that I pay just to keep up and be competitive in the market.
Labor hours.
Labor hours, please.
There's no cut set labor hours. If Mr. Rashid there says, I want the stage for the Cape Town chairs, you need to work and you need to make it happen. If it takes you 6 days, do it. You can't come and say to him, no, we've been working for 6 days now, can we go, and all those things. I don't think it works well that way, because you, as a small business, you are shooting yourself in the foot. You need to have an agreement as it begins. Especially theater shows, they have rehearsals. Rehearsals are the same as the actual show itself and the actual show. So if you don't have an agreement before that, okay, I'm doing the rehearsals as well and the show, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, I wouldn't say there's fixed hours. You need to agree with the hours beforehand. If it doesn't work, I would say fix it before.
I'm just going to remind you that we live in the Labour Relations Act and the Basic Employment Act, and you have to be compliant with statute. So it comes
Graham.
down to when you budget, don't budget people working for 16 hours. That's the issue. Get your budgeting right and you won't have a problem. There's an old issue. Cost plus profit equals price. Get your costs right and you won't have a problem. This is key, especially your time and time issues.
As I said, when I started the company, for the first 2 years, I was also the lowest paid salary earner in the company. I had to pay the guys for their skills, and with skills comes money. So, you know, it's not a decision, it's market related at the end of the day. You have to pay a person a market related, an industry market related salary.
So you have to do your homework. What it means, you have to check around. And you shouldn't be in an industry that you haven't done your homework for. So you need to actually understand what's high, what's low. Here's the general rule. If you want people to be motivated, pay them more. It's a simple issue. I mean, smart artists in this country, find out what's the agent rate in Europe. Oh, how much are you getting from your artist? 20%. I'll give you 25. That 5%. it gives them more money and more business. Why? Because the agent's going to give them where their bread is buttered. So when you're buying freelance services, pay well, budget them properly, and you will get it.
Black Motion, is a reputable company in the television industry and the events industry or space today because of all the mistakes that we have done along the way. It's been 12 years, and I'm not regretting anything.
When I started, I hired from big companies, Gearhouse, Pro Sound, Sound Stylist, and I went on the same negotiation. Look, I have to make money there, give me 30% less. So I still apply the same rule. If anybody comes and they want my expensive audio mixer, I said, okay, I know you're still gonna charge this, and I'll give you less this much.
So like the promoters this morning, negotiate.
Negotiate, Baba.
Aha, right. Don't ask, there's our rule, don't ask, don't get.
As we do not dry hire any equipment. We distribute to companies that purchase equipment for dry hire purposes or for shows. But there is definitely, Graeme has got a very valid point, because you've got to have a budget for your gig. It's no use going and dry hiring and your budget for the gig is say 10 grand, 50,000 rand, but your dry hire costs are 45,000 rand. So there you got to go and negotiate. And I do feel there's a lot of businesses in South Africa that will actually sit down and say, okay, let's negotiate, let's talk about this. We know what budgets are like in this industry at the moment. A budget is 500K for a gig. Client sits down and he says, well, guess what? I've got 300K. Can you do the job? So I think the same goes in the dry rental market for you. Negotiate, talk to your supplier. But an important thing is build a relationship with a supplier and don't shop around. Once that person has helped you and got you going, don't then use it and shop around and look around and then play other dry hire companies up against each other. Build relationships. This industry is relationship based. Don't mess it. You only have one chance. And once you've lost your relationship with a supplier who dry rents to help you on your shows, you're done.
Toast.
Yeah. Technological catch-up, yes, it's still a challenge. We depend on the likes of Mr. Duncan here to give us gear, but we're struggling. I wouldn't say we are catching. I'm still using analog console. I'm still using those old RF microphones. We are lucky the government is slow. Digital migration hasn't happened. Digital migration hasn't happened. So we are just fortunate my microphone still works. Once that has happened, we are going to suffer. We have microphones that don't work and all those things. So yes, it's a challenge in terms of catching up. That's why we need the likes of Duncan and the likes of SA Roadies to help small business, because it's a big investment. I mean, I have to buy my company again. This is what needs to happen, because the speakers I have, they are heavy. It's big boxes. I need 4 people to carry them. People today, they use small boxes and they deliver the same thing. So it's a challenge. They asked about shareholding.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just, excuse me. One sentence.
1 sentence
20 seconds.
about shareholding.
That's it.
Okay, sure. Shareholding, it's what got me into trouble. That's why I have 2 registration it's shareholding. So I would say, do your homework. Don't give everyone shareholding. You'll be like me. You'll have 2 companies registered at SARS.